The great object of my present publication has been to explain with perspicuity the science of pugilism, and it has been my endeavor to offer no precepts which will not be brought to bear in practice, and it will give me particular satisfaction and pleasure to understand that I have attained my first object by having taught any man an easy, regular system of so useful an art as that of boxing.
Hey YouTube, it's Chris Dyer here at Reborn Martial Arts in Springfield, Virginia, and we are continuing on our video series on old school boxing. This is Daniel Mendoza Part 2, lessons number 2 and number 3. Okay, so we're on lesson number 2 and number 3 from Daniel Mendoza's work on boxing, and we're going to be covering half of the lessons that are in the included section because he does have you switch. We're not going to cover the entire thing, so we do one section, you would practice on the opposite side. Next section, you would practice on the opposite side. We're just not going to show the opposite side, but just do everything in reverse. So if we say left, you're going to do right for the second half. So we're just going to skip that part. In these sequence, we're actually working on alternating highs and lows. We're working on feints. We're working on all kinds of different things. So I'll explain what each of the parts are. Mike will help me demonstrate them, and we'll see where we're at with this. All right, so the first part is the master is going to feint 1-2 at the face. And the idea is that it's going to be 1 with my left, 2 with my right, and Mike's guard, so he's going to take his guard that we worked on last time, so he's going to be in his boxing stance like so. His hands are up. As I feint the 1, he's going to do a number, what we call a number 1 block. So he's going to take his arm, he's going to cover this direction, making sure he covers his midsection. So he's going to parry my first left, like so, covering his midsection. And then from there, I'm going to throw the real one, so I'm going to feint 1, 2, and he's going to come across with actually a what we would call a number 2 block. So he's going to cover and then cover this direction, covering his midsection for both of those. So I'm going to feint, strike, feint, strike, feint, strike. Oh, I got him on that one, yay. So we're here, pop, 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 like so. So we feint with the left, strike right, Mike is going to cover and then cover out. Okay, we're focusing on from wrist to elbow, clearing these out the way, but maintaining that guard position. So we're here. If we're facing the camera, we have block and cover, covering our midsection. So that's the first drill. And again, you do the opposite thing. So we just switch stances and he'd do the opposite side. All right, so the next one is I'm going to do another 1-2. I'm going to feint low this time with my left. So he's going to cover with his midsection, what we'd call a number 3 block. So he's going to cover this way with his number 3. And then I'm going to actually throw the punch to the face. So it's a low high. So feint high, or sorry, feint low, and then strike high. He's still going to cover both of them because he's in the student role. You're practicing covering. Even though that it's a feint, he's still going to practice covering it, and then he's going to do that outward block. So we're here. I'm going to feint low, strike high. Feint low, strike high. Make sure you cover midsection. Whoop, pow. Let's talk about feints real quick because this is something that we haven't covered in this thing. You want to, at least this is how I learned it when I was learning fencing, is when you do a feint, you need to sell it, basically. It's not just a quick little jab it out there with not the intention of hitting, but to actually sell the thing, right? So there were lots of different ways that we practice this in fencing method. And remember, at this time, boxing is heavily influenced by by fencing. So when you do feints, when you do feints, you want to make sure that you're trying them out kind of like you would in fencing. So for example, if I'm going to feint this low, I'm going to do this, and I'm actually going to do things like stomping and whatnot. I still use this in my own sparring. We'll do this stomp here and really lower that guard, and then we're here to do that feint low, strike high. Right, so Mike is blocking. All right, so the next one, same idea. I'm going to feint with my left to his ribs. So I'm going to feint this direction, and then I'm going to strike up to the face. So it's going to be here, feint left. He's going to actually elbow drop this down. So as I come in, we're here, and then I'm going to come to the face. So feint, pow, pow. Feint, pow, pow. Like so. So I'm feinting this one, and I'm here. Now, why do we do a feint? Obviously, if I can get him to drop this guard down to strike him in the face, and Mike is voiding it, just like Mendoza suggests, get the body and head out the way, lean him back. Oh. so that if I do that strike, he's getting his head out the way. All right, so that is lesson number 2 from Daniel Mendoza's work. In just a second, we'll take a look at lesson 3. Okay, so here we are at lesson number 3. So again, he does these in parts. So he has 6 parts to lesson number 3. We're only going to cover 3 because it's one-sided, and then do everything on the opposite side. So the strikes come from the opposite side and the blocks are on the opposite side, but everything else is the same. We're going to skip the second half and we cover just these 3 things. So the first one is I'm going to do a left, right, left. Neither one of the first 2 strikes are intentional. The third one is simply to to actually make contact. So I actually was just talking about this in my sparring class the other day. Build a pattern, break a pattern is the phrase that I use. So Mike is on guard. I build the pattern, so I'm striking to his face. He's blocking these up high. So face, face, right? Face, face, we're here. Then once he's in the pattern of blocking, and then I'm going to strike low. So it's left, right, pow. And my intention is to actually do that low strike. So we're here, pop, pop, pow, pop, pop, pow. And he's working on just building the instinct of not getting flushed by punches coming at his face and simply covering and blocking. So he's going to do a block pattern, 1, 2 block, 1 block, 2 block, and then 3 block. 1 block, 2 block, 3 block. 1 block, 2 block, 3 block. 1 block, 2 block, 3 block. Like so, nice and simple. The next one is I'm going to do 1, 2, 1. So it's a left, right, left, all to his face. He's going to do a 1 block, 2 block, 1 block. So we're here, 1 block, 2 block, 1 block. And these are feint, feint, and then the intentional. So pop, pop, pow. And you can play with different timing for this one. There, pop, 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 right? Trying to tag him, and he's working on not being overwhelmed by the strikes and simply learning blocking patterns. The last one is face, face, ribs. So it's a 1, 2, ribs. So it's going to look, we'll go slow, left, right, with the intention of striking, with the intention of striking. So Mike is, again, just blocking them. 1 block, 2 block, my intention of striking. 1 block, 2 block, intention of striking. All right, so this, again, there's nothing really uncommon about this. This is something that you'd see in most, like even today, most self-defense classes have something similar to this. We're even talking about, using 8-point blocking, which is really common in a lot of martial arts schools today. But the idea that this was put in a training manual of the time, taking methods straight from fencing. So this is using feints and whatnot that you use in fencing all the time and putting it into boxing and using it as a training text. Again, it's a game changer for what we're looking at for old school pugilism, old school boxing. The other thing are hook punches being used. So obviously in fencing, you have straight line strikes and you have cuts. Hook punches don't exist, right? So it's a unique to boxing. So it's one of the things that you are starting to see where what I call fencing method of boxing, and in this manual we're starting to see boxing specific things. So you're changing from just I thrust, I change it up, I can do some feints, to actually getting in and doing circular strikes, which doesn't really translate to fencing method. It's boxing specific. So again, Daniel Mendoza's work is a game changer. We're going to be continuing on with this next time. We're going to be covering lessons 4 and 5, and then we'll finish out with 6 and some flow drills that he recommends at the end of the book. So stay tuned and be sure to like, subscribe, share, put comments below. We've gotten a lot of feedback. People seem to be liking these videos, and I'm getting a lot of really fun comments, some good questions. So share. Let us know what you guys think. Thanks a lot.